Hi, and welcome back to English Lessons with Stephanie. This is speaking lesson 5. In today's lesson, we'll start by setting some goals for ourselves. Then we'll practice by talking about suggestions, prized possessions, coincidences, getting to know someone, and then practice using the grammar of non-count nouns. Remember our speaking tips. It's important to relax. Relaxing will help us to speak better. Secondly, speak as loudly as you would normally. It's bad practice to speak too loudly or too softly. And finally, don't worry, it's okay to make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time, and that's okay. The important thing is just to speak a little better than we did the last time. So let's think about our goals. What do you hope to improve? Are we trying to work on fluency by speaking more smoothly with fewer pauses? Are we working on accuracy by making fewer mistakes when speaking? Are we working on variety, like using more vocabulary? Or do we want to work on mastery by adding idioms and working on pronunciation? We're going to start by making suggestions. So remember that a suggestion is when you give someone a little bit of advice about what you think they should do. What's important to remember is that we need to use the subjunctive verb tense. That's the general form of the verb. So after we say someone suggested, we just use the general verb form. It doesn't matter who is talking, if it's a he or a she or a we or an I. And it doesn't matter when this happened, if it was yesterday or right now or next week. The verb will always be the general verb form. So our first question is, what suggestions have people given you about learning English? You can say, my teacher suggested I do this. Or she suggested I speak like this, or I listen to this, or I read this. We're going to use the general verb form. And it doesn't just have to be a teacher. You can say your friend suggested this, or your business partner, or your neighbor, or someone else you know who speaks really good English. And our next question is, what is the suggestion you have given someone else? So in this one, you're going to say what you suggested that someone else do. So for example, you could say, I suggested that my friend stop smoking, or I suggested that my friend go to France. Whatever. Just remember, we're going to use this subjunctive verb form. So let's talk, pause the video, and answer these two questions. Our next conversation topic is prized possessions. So remember, prized possessions are things that have sentimental value to you, personal value, but not financial value to other people. So you wrote about this in your writing class, and now you can practice speaking about it. So for example, I wrote about a sweater that is not worth a lot of money, but it's really important to me because I made it with my own hands, and I made it using materials that I bought in South America while I was traveling there. So let's talk. Pause the video and describe some of your prized possessions, making sure to explain why these things are important to you. Our next conversation topic is coincidences. And we're going to talk a little bit about pronunciation of these different word forms. So in the noun form, we have the word coincidence, and the stress is on the second syllable, coincidence. When it's a verb, however, we say coincide. So the stress is on the last syllable, and we get the long I, coincide. In the adjective form, we put the stress on the second to last syllable, coincidental. And the adverb form, we have the stress on the same syllable, coincidentally. So again, it's coincidence, coincide, coincidental, and coincidentally. When we talk about coincidences, we'll often use the phrasal verb run into. So remember, I said it was a coincidence to run into this man in Mexico. So tell us about a coincidence in your life. What happened? That's our first question. Coincidences happen in nature too. For example, because of their distances from the Earth, the sun and the moon appear to be the same size in the sky, even though they are very different sizes. Can you think of other coincidences in nature or in history? So let's talk, pause the video, answer these 2 questions, and then let's move on. Next, we're going to talk about getting to know someone. Getting to know someone means starting to understand or be close to them. So in the reading, we talked about giving people virtual tours of our homes as a way to get to know someone. Do you think that's a good way to get to know someone? What do you think is a good way to get to know someone? Our next question is, how did you get to know your best friend? When you answer this question, you can use the word by plus a gerund, an ing verb, like, I got to know my best friend by talking to them, or I got to know my best friend by spending a lot of time with them. And finally, how long do you think it takes to really get to know someone? So let's talk. Pause the video, answer these questions, and then let's move on. Finally, we're going to practice a little bit of our grammar use with non-count nouns. We're going to start by answering these 2 questions. What's more valuable, money or health? And what's more important, luck or wisdom? So money, health, luck, and wisdom are all non-count nouns. We don't need to use any articles with them. That means we don't say a money or a health or the health, just money, just health. So you could say, I think money is more valuable because, followed by a subject and a verb, a sentence. Or I think luck is more important because, followed by a subject and verb. And then the next question is, what makes you happier, music or literature? Again, these are 2 non-count nouns, so you don't need to put any articles in front of music or literature. So let's talk. Pause the video and answer these 3 questions and then move on. So that's it for today. Great work. Keep practicing. Talk to yourself, talk to your friends, talk to your pets. Just keep practicing. If you want to review Class 5, don't forget to visit the website to download the class notes, the grammar worksheet, and the vocabulary review. Thanks for joining us, and see you next class.